See, I come from a really big Chinese family. I grew up with like 30 aunts and uncles and more cousins than you could shake a stick at, which sometimes our elders actually did. Now, year by year and one by one, those elders are fading from our lives. But I got some old aunties and a couple of uncles still hanging on. Now, one of my uncles is kind of fascinating to me because, you see, he's one of those that spent their younger days back in China in the village, back in the 30s and the 40s. And I like to know more about that time and place, but I don't get a whole lot out of him because, you see, it wasn't a great time and place to be alive, and I think the survivors, they just assume, like, move on and forget about it best they can. Besides, his English isn't all that great, which kind of amazes me because he's been here for like 60 years. But then, you know, in those backroom Chinatown kitchens, and not a whole lot of English being spoken. So what do you say about a man that is going to spend his life working for his family in the new country, but never learns to bother to learn the language? Well, I say, well, he never learned to talk the talk, but he sure could walk that walk. In a distant village on a distant shore, a time of hunger and a time of war, mother's other brother got left behind. Somehow he made it across the line, found his way to the USA, across the sea to family, lived with us till he found a wife. They found work in a brand new life. A little man in a little world, his work, his wife, his boy, his girl. He never learned to talk the talk, he just walked the walk. Yeah, I'm gonna just work that walk. Now 40 years of stir-fry toil, the swirling smoke, the splattering oil, year after year, shift after shift, nights of making that same old dish. Work was over, Pal Hana came, he'd step out in the Portland rain. 40 blocks he'd walk back home, it was his only time alone. A little man in a little world, his work, his wife, his boy, his girl. He never learned to talk the talk, he just walked the walk. Yeah, Uncle just worked that walk. Well, the years rolled by and that boy and girl found their own way, their own world. They come back home each New Year's Day to watch their father fade away to that distant village on that distant shore. Time of hunger, that time of war. The last survivors are growing old with family stories left untold. A little man in a little world, his work, his wife, his boy, his girl. He never learned to talk the talk, he just walked the walk. Yeah, Uncle just worked that walk. He's a little man in a little world, his work, his wife, his boy, his girl. He never learned to talk the talk, he just walked the walk. Yeah, Uncle just worked that walk. Thank you.